Pipe organ note for the Hare Krishna mantra. Jai Sachinandana Suramuni Vandana Abhay Jayo Jai Sachinandana Suramuni Vandana Abhay Jayo Jai Sachinandana Suramuni Vandana Abhay Jayo Jai Sachinandana Suramuni Vandana Jai Lakshmi Vishnu Priya Vindana Priya Hiya Jai Jai Lakshmi Vishnu Priya Vindana Priya Hiya Jai Jai Lakshmi Vishnu Priya Vindana Priya Hiya Jai Jai Lakshmi Vishnu Priya Jai Chandrasekharacharya Jai Chandrasekharacharya Jai Nityananda Jai 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 Nityananda Jai Jai Haridas Namacharya Jai Haridas Rama Rama
Om Ajnanatirmirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langhayate Girim Jakrapatamaham Bande Shri Gurum Dinataranam Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Panchakalpa Tarugyascha Kripasindhobhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. So today marks the anniversary of the Tirobhava or disappearance of Srila Bhakti Raksak Sridhar Goswami Maharaj. Who is the beloved Shiksha Guru of our Tripurari Maharaj, or Swami. And also, as we'll see, the Shiksha Guru of my beloved spiritual masters, Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. I wanted to read the translation for one song for which Srila Sridhar Maharaj was recognized by his spiritual master. This is Srimad Bhakti Vinod Viraha Dashakam. It's 10 verses on the separation from Bhakti Vinod Thakur. When Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur heard this song, he said, "Oh, now we something like, oh, now we have someone who understands the mission. We'll be able to carry on the mission of Bhakti Vinod Thakur." In other words, oh, we have somebody who gets it. Oh, Bhakti Vinod Thakur, oh Gurudev, somehow a long and trying 22 years have passed since your disappearance. A time cursed with the painful and heavy burden that I am constantly feeling due to your separation. My life's substance is a prisoner to that agony. The conditioned souls in due course of accepting unlimited births through countless species unfortunately come to gather the required pious merits to take it. Fortunately come to gather the required pious merits to take human birth on this earth. But unlike them, you are a personal manifestation of Lord Gauranga's divine potency. Your appearance an evident display of his tender compassion. Oh, how abominable is my existence. From time immemorial, I've been trapped by the warden of impiety. I have no expectation of being afforded a chance of bathing even in one particle of the ecstatic dust of your holy feet. Each shining particle clinging to your lotus feet contains an enormous, joyful ocean, providing the most ambrosial bath and promises at last the fulfillment of my life, the taste of selfless surrender. But wait, there is some hope. The extensive, all-encompassing magnitude of Sriman Mahaprabhu's manifest pastimes of wide distribution of Darya Leela have graced our entire universe. O Srila Bhakti Vinod, you are the personal proprietor and agent of that glorious and gentle grace. O Bhakti Vinod, O divine master, if all the attempts of the demigods, beginning with Lord Brahma, have met with disappointment in trying to narrate the totality of your wonderful spiritual qualities, then Gurudev, how can we simple and ordinary people, fallen in this material world, glorify you properly? We're not concerned with the highly decorative rhetoric of the learned demigods. For us, it was the plain truth when Lord Mukunda said he was incapable of depicting the magnanimity of the cowherd maidens of Braja, as mentioned in the Rasalila pastimes. Naparayaham niravadhyasam yujam swasadhu krityam vibudhayasapiva yamabhajandur jarageha smikalaha shrinkalaha samvrishcha tadva pratiyatu sadhuna. When the gopis were overwhelmed with dissatisfaction due to Lord Krishna's absence from the Rasalila, Krishna returned to them and said, "My dear gopis, our meeting is certainly free from all material contamination. I must admit that even within a lifetime of Brahma, it would be impossible for me to repay my debt to you, because you have all cut off the bondage of family life just to search for me. Consequently, I am unable to repay you. Therefore, let your own glorious deeds be your compensation in this regard." We heard, maybe it was in Poland, the gopis' response to that. Kind of boiled down to, Oh, Bhakti Vinod Thakur, you appeared at the hour of our greatest need. At that time, everyone practiced body worship and flesh religion, which any honest man will admit is ignorance. The yogis were cheating the public with cheap miracles, exploiting them for money and pleasure. The philosophers, bewildered in trying to capture the infinite, found that their knowledge had led them to the void of nihilism. The mutterers of mantras were working to become well-known japa chanters, ascetics practiced murderous torture for spiritual suicide. The proud gave in charity only to increase their fame. And all these abominable acts were performed in the name of Anuraga Bhajan, the highest devotion to Godhead. At that dark hour, when all good intelligence had been spoiled by misconception, you were sent by the will of providence. When he appears within the dark evening sky, the full moon gives life to all the medicinal herbs within the universe by his cooling rays. He also helps the stars to twinkle, and their nectarian pleasure increases as they illuminate the world. O Bhaktivinoda Thakur, you have appeared like the moon to enliven the meaning of the scriptures, which act like medicine to soothe the diseased souls of this world. Your advent gives pleasure to the saints, who, like stars helped by the moon, can illuminate others simply by reflecting your light. Desiring to benefit the people in general, you preached the Bhagavad principles of devotion. Like the great spiritual geniuses Ramanuja, Madhva, Nimbarka, and Vishnu Swami, the real Sampradaya Acharyas, you composed different scriptures which reveal the divine philosophical vision of the previous Acharyas and great devotees. But, O Bhaktivinoda Thakur, O Gurudev, more than that, you are a vast ocean of divine love, and your magnanimity has no bounds. The effulgent, non-differentiated aspect of divinity known as Brahman is composed of infinite particles of individual consciousness, and has been considered by the Upanishads and by Vedic scholars to be the halo of the Absolute. The localized plenary portion of Godhead known as Paramatma is sought after by the great yogis practicing extreme penance. Narayan himself, the predominating lord of the Vaikuntha planets, whose lotus feet are worshipped and served by his unexcelled bee-like devotees, is only a partial representation of the original personality of Godhead. The original or full-fledged aspect of divinity is Krishna. O Bhaktivinoda Thakur, you have not come to distribute Brahman or Paramatma or even Narayan Bhakti, but Svayam Bhagavan Krishna, the original conception of the absolute truth, who is all ecstasy. It is you, O Gurudev, who can gently place me in his hands, and you have come to give him to the public. Within the highest realm of the inconceivable spiritual world, there is a most charming place which is far superior to all others. That place is known as Goloka Vrindavan, and it is there that the original personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, is found. There, Krishna's transcendental pleasure is increased by the personal service rendered to him by his devotees, who are absorbed in the mellows of friendship and parenthood. There, surrounded by her most infinite confidential maidservants, Srimati Radha Rani, with all of her paraphernalia, is offering Sri Krishna the highest form of affectionate service, which is completely inconceivable on the mundane plane. Oh, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, if you so desire, it is within your power to easily grant this insignificant soul some service within that higher realm. Please bestow that mercy on me. What was sanctioned by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu by his descent was intimately known only to Sri Swarup Damodar Goswami. Sanatan Goswami, the elder brother of Srila Rupa Goswami, was attentive to that divine truth, and Rupa Goswami himself served that very thing with his own hands to the devotees. Raghunath Das Goswami tasted its sweetness and also added something of his own to its flavor. He was assisted in doing so by Raghunath Pata and Gopal Bhatta Goswami. What was distributed by Rupa and tasted by Raghunath was protected by Jiva Goswami, who lent support to its divinity with scriptural evidence. The taste of that divine truth is aspired after by Shukadev Goswami, Lord Shiva, and Lord Brahma, who regard it with the highest respect from a distance. What is that inconceivable ambrosia? the sublime sweet nectar of the mellows relished in the service of Srimati Radharani's lotus feet. Oh, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, within this world you fully possess the ability to give us that extraordinary nectar. But where am I? I'm in a most fallen condition, my intelligence bound with fault. Where are you, O deliverer of the universe? O Master, by your causeless mercy alone, my unlimited offenses can be pardoned. O ocean of compassion, O Guru Dev, I humbly beg for one favor before your lotus feet. Kindly count me as one of the servitors of Sri Sri Radha Krishna, that divine couple who are an ocean of matchless wealth. He gets it. So what I wanted to do, when I was thinking about, well, do I spend my time tonight discussing Srila Sridhar Maharaj or just continue with our Bhagavatam class? Sumati gave me her petulant, what do you mean, book? And I thought, I think I said it, I'm the last person to talk about Srila Sridhar Maharaj. I'm the least fortunate person in the universe, because even though one day in 1980, when I was in Mayapur, I had a plan for going over to Navadvip, for skipping the parikram with the other devotees, and going by myself to Navadvip in the hope of finding Sri Chaitanya Saraswati Mata and meeting Srila Sridhar Maharaj. Somehow or other, I was distracted by the kirtan as the kirtan party was going out the gate and down the road. Kirtan was being led by a devotee I didn't even particularly care for, but who was dear to Srila Prabhupada and really is a cool kirtan singer. And I thought, okay, I'll make it another, I'll do it another day. And I was never able to do it. I grabbed a gamsha, wrapped it around my head, and ran out to catch up with the kirtan party. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to plan another day staying back by myself so that I could go off and do my own thing. So I thought I would let Srila Prabhupada's experience with Srila Sridhar Maharaj tell us a little bit about his regard for Srila Sridhar Maharaj. And I wanted to move, I guess, kind of chronologically. So I'm going to start with a couple of excerpts from Mula Prakriti's book, Our Srila Prabhupada, a friend to all early contemporaries, remember him. And the very first early contemporary she includes in her book is Srila Bhakti Raksak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj. And this is not a transcript of her conversation with Srila Sridhar Maharaj. It's notes on her interviews with Srila Sridhar Maharaj. She didn't have a tape recorder with her, so she had to make notes afterwards. So she starts out, Srila Sridhar Maharaj explained how he and our Srila Prabhupada, then known as Abhay Babu Prabhu, shared a very thick relationship that went back many years, since perhaps the 1920s, and we'll see in a conversation between the two of them, probably 1928. At their Guru Dev's Calcutta Mat in Bagh-Bazar, Srila Prabhupada's family, the Mulaks and the Deys, lived close by the Mandir, and the two godbrothers had close personal dealings. Srila Sridhar Maharaj first recollected the special times he shared with Srila Prabhupada at the Sitakanta Banerjee Lane house and the Saraswat Mat. Srila Prabhupada had rented two adjacent houses, one for his residence, one for his business, and he donated the upstairs rooms above his chemical business for the small temple. Chemical business means pharmaceutical business. He encouraged Srila Sridhar Maharaj to come from Navadvip and stay and preach there. Srila Sridhar Maharaj came regularly and stayed for engagements that Srila Prabhupada arranged among local devotees, friends, relatives, and business associates. So Srila Prabhupada would invite people to come here from Srila Sridhar Maharaj. Srila Sridhar Maharaj explained how Srila Prabhupada's fervor for establishing Siddhanta and spreading Krishna consciousness was legendary. He recalled the many letters Srila Prabhupada consistently wrote to all the Indian leaders and dignitaries, how many sincere people he brought to their Gurudev's shelter, how much he was engaged in sadhana, which included chanting, studying, writing literatures, and distributing them. Srila Sridhar Maharaj admitted that his nature was not inclined to go out in public, but that during this time, our Srila Prabhupada single-handedly pulled him out for preaching. He also recalled how Gandhi was in Calcutta when they were living at 66 Sitakanta Banerjee Lane. He said, Prabhu came into the house there and said, come on, Gandhi's here in Kolkata. We have to go over there right now. We must tell him that he must give the people Krishna consciousness. You and I, we're going to tell them. A very vivid memory that Srila Sridhar Maharaj shared described his part in Srila Prabhupada's leaving his Calcutta home and taking Vanaprastha. It was in the early 1950s. He said one night around 1 or 2 a.m. there was a vigorous knocking on the door of the upstairs mat. It was Srila Prabhupada, in great excitement, exclaiming how he had just experienced a vivid dream. Their Guru Maharaj, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, appeared to him and strongly ordered him to renounce his whole household life and take the sannyas order. Srila Prabhupada was shaking with emotion, explaining how he had so much responsibility to the family and to that dharma. So how could this be done? Srila Sridhar Maharaj said that Abhay Babu nevertheless earnestly requested him to please award this sannyas ashram to him immediately. Mm-hmm. I have a little experience with this kind of thing, wrestling with family responsibility, but the direct order, looking in the eye and saying, well, sometimes sannyas can help. Srila Sridhar Maharaj told him that he was personally favorably disposed to do this, except for the connection he had with the Mullik and Day family. He explained how they would most probably be disturbed if he were to be the agent. He felt it was perhaps better to do things gradually, and he suggested that he prepare himself internally and then gradually introduce the idea to all of them. I mean, here was Prabhupada. He was saying, okay, do it now. Let's do it now, you know. I guess he was figuring, you know, everybody would wake up in the morning and he was upstairs, you know, dressed like a creamsicle. Srila Prabhupada accepted this proposal reluctantly. Some months passed and they continued their association and preaching programs. Whenever Srila Sridhar Maharaj visited the Calcutta monk, sometime later, as he was sleeping during the night, there was the same banging on the door. Srila Prabhupada was there and he repeated his story. Their Gurudev had again appeared in his dream. Even more forcefully, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada was demanding that his disciple quit his home life and take the renounced order. Again, Srila Prabhupada requested Srila Maharaj to give him sannyas. He exclaimed that he was ready at that moment. His reservations were all gone, and he was eager to obey their Guru's order. Srila Sridhar Maharaj told me, I again requested him to please wait a while longer. I suggested he take Bahudak sannyas, which involves living just a short distance away from the home, but still near enough for the family's gradual detachment. I was concerned about what might be the opinion of his large extended family, perhaps many might go against the Gaudiya monks because of this, I encouraged caution. However, this time he was not amenable. He listened to my proposal, but replied that it was not his own decision. It was coming from above, from their master, so it must be done. The next morning when we awoke, there was a commotion in the house next door. He had left his residence in the night. He was gone, and none were informed of his destination. He took nothing, no baggage, no clothes, no prasad or Lakshmi. I considered this to be my great loss. So then there's a little more on the same kind of thing from Srila Sridhar Maharaj's foremost disciple and successor, Bhakti Sundar Govinda Maharaj. So he was traveling and he wanted to establish the League of Devotees in Jhansi. So he asked Sridhar Maharaj, he'd gotten, he was working on getting that Radha Mandir that ended up becoming some kind of women's league thing. And he wanted to give it to Sridhar Maharaj. And Sridhar Maharaj said, I don't really have the capacity to do this right now. He said, maybe you should ask Srila Bhakti Saranga Goswami Maharaj. And Goswami Maharaj said he wouldn't be able to maintain it. And neither did Keshava Maharaj. So finally, Srila Prabhupada decided to do it himself. And then he said, Srila Prabhupada told us he had a dream of his Guru Dev, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, calling him to take sannyas. Then he requested Guru Maharaj to give him sannyas. I remember we were sitting in his family's house discussing this. Guru Maharaj, Pishima, Prabhupada, myself, and also one of his sons was there. Pishima told him, you're so poor now you can't even maintain your family. It would be better if you took sannyas. It would be good for you. Prabhupada said, if I take sannyas, who will look after my family? Bhavatarini Pishima said, well, you are looking after your family, but at the same time, you cannot look after them. So leave your family. I will take responsibility for them. I have 5 sons who have some income. In your house, you cannot do anything to help them as you would like, and they do not want the spiritual way of life. So why must you live there? You want preaching, so you must preach. And a few months after his first dream of his Guru Dev in Calcutta, he again asked for sannyas from Srila Guru Maharaj. One morning, very early, he was knocking on the door of the upstairs month. Another dream had come that night of their Prabhupada calling him to take the renounced order. Guru Maharaj told him, you just go away for a while nearby. After leaving your family for some time, I want to see your family's reaction, which way it will be, because your family is like my own family. They will blame me, saying, you've taken our father away. They will not be so happy with Krishna and will make a disturbance. But Prabhupada told him, I know I have no time. I am thinking I must do this now. Then Guru Maharaj recommended that he go to their godbrother Keshava Maharaj in Mathura. He's the proper one. My mantra is also with Keshava Maharaj. The next day, without saying anything, he left and was gone. After taking sannyas sometime later in Mathura, Prabhupada wrote many letters to Srila Guru Maharaj. Some of these we had kept in an almirah at Saraswat Math, but I did not keep careful record of them and they are lost. However, the remainder of Srila Guru Maharaj's letters from Srila Prabhupada was handed over to ISKCON for publication. And it's interesting, Srila Prabhupada opens almost every one of those letters. My dear Sripad Sridhar Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances at your lotus feet. And those are the ones we have. Then there's another one from earlier, a little later. This is from Gopal Chandra Ghosh. He was head of the Vrindavan Research Institute. He's a Brijbasi, and he was a disciple of Advaita Advaita Das Babaji Maharaj, who is in the line of Srinivasa Acharya. So Gopal Chandra Ghosh says, I saw and met Srila Prabhupada at the Radha Damodar temple when he was first living there. When he sat on the veranda by his room in the evenings doing japa, there was rarely anybody there. Some small boys would come and ask for prasad. He had one plastic pot with some para or burfi in it. He offered this to his pictures and distributed it. Now it's the pictures that are interesting. I saw he had pictures of Radha, Krishna, Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, and Jagannathaji. There was also a small photograph of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, which he daily worshipped with devotion. When he was alone, he had only pictures there. Sometimes he cooked on his small stove, and sometimes he took prasad from Radha Damodarji's temple. Another photograph that he kept in the early days at Radha Damodar temple was of Srila Sridhar Maharaj. There was his Guru Dev's photo, and also this one. I asked, who is this devotee? I've not seen him before. He told me that this was his godbrother, a very deep scholar of Mahaprabhu's aim, from whom he had received much knowledge. He said he was a great master, his Shiksha Guru. I saw that it was a black and white photo of this Tridandi Swami standing on an asana. It was the miniature size that he used for his bhajan. There are also photos of Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji, Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur, and Sri Jagannath Das Baba. Sridhar Maharaj's photo was on the left side. I remember, because I edited this book as Mula. I was working on editing this book as Mula lay preparing to leave her body at Sukada's place in Vrindavan at MBT, I guess. And I would have to get up in the middle of the night because I knew I would have another chapter from Manjari. Probably I would have another chapter from Manjari, and I'd have to turn it around really fast because we were going crazy. We were beating ourselves, whipping ourselves, trying to get this book done while Mulu was still with us. We didn't make it, but we made a valiant effort. I mean, I would get up 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning. I mean, this is pretty much how my life was. Fortunately, this was during the summer, so I didn't have any heavy, I didn't have classes to teach or anything at the time. I could get up in the middle of the night, I could work for a few hours, and then I'd go, do my puja and then go back to bed or something. So when I came across that chapter, I just thought, oh, this is great. This is amazing. Yeah, one of the best services I've ever had. Mm-hmm. Next, I've got a letter that Srila Prabhupada wrote to Hrishikesh Ananda. Hrishikesh, as I mentioned the other night, is an American devotee. I think he was in England. He was, it was 1968, 1969. It must have been 1969 when he met the devotees. He was in England, trying to be a rock and roll star, and he got drafted, and so he took off for India. And he had first initiation from Srila Prabhupada, and there was no place to go in India in 1969. Really, there was a Chutananda there, also because of the draft. And Ramanuja was there, and maybe somebody else. They were staying with Sridhar Maharaj in Navadvip. And Hrishikesh ended up in Vrindavan with Ban Maharaj. And it didn't turn out very well. Ban Maharaj ended up giving him second initiation and then later sannyas. So he wrote Prabhupada. I guess there was some kind of disturbance he could tell us better. And so he wrote Srila Prabhupada, and Srila Prabhupada wrote him. He said, so if you're actually serious to take instructions from a Shiksha Guru, I can refer you to one who is most highly competent of all my god brothers. This is B.R. Sridhar Maharaj, whom I consider to be even my Shiksha Guru. So what to speak of the benefit that you can have from his association. He's living in Navadvip, and if you like, I can give you a letter of introduction, as well as I will send him a letter to allow you to stay there with him. So if you and Achyutananda are not lost to this difficulty that's going on here, and are still serious about advancement of your spiritual life, I will advise you to go to Sridhar Maharaj, or else I do not know what will save you. So my advice is that you immediately leave this association and either proceed to Germany as I have instructed you, or at least go to someone who will be competent to act as a Shiksha Guru. This is Sridhar Maharaj. When I was in India, Achyutananda, Ramanuja, and myself, with others, lived with Sridhar Maharaj. So Achyutananda knows him very well. He spared a big house for us. And if both of you go there now, it will be very good for your spiritual benefit. Then, I like this sentence, then I will feel that you are safe. Mm-hmm. Besides that, if you wish to live in India, you can make arrangements for this house or that, for this house, so that other of your god brothers may go there in the future. So he's saying, you arrange things so that other devotees can come and stay with Srila Sridhar Maharaj. Get trained like that. Just on the other side of the Ganges, there's Mayapur, and you can occasionally or every week go there and learn Bengali and Sanskrit if it is your desire. All facilities are there. Sridhar Maharaj is a very good English scholar, and he can talk with you very nicely in English. The room in Vrindavan where you are residing may also be kept so that it may be utilized when necessary. But so far as I am concerned, I'm becoming older and older, and my life may be finished at any moment. I've got my permanent residence in America. It is an indication of Krishna that I shall live here to organize this movement to the best possible extent. How did that, anybody know how that indication of Krishna came? We've heard this story. Srila Prabhupada wrote Sridhar Maharaj after his stroke in 67, 68. When he was recovering from this stroke, he wrote Srila Sridhar Maharaj, and he said, I'm having the same heart problem, your kind of heart problem that you're having. I had a stroke and I'm recovering from it. Because I could die at any moment. So what's your advice? Should I go die in Vrindavan, or should I just stay here and preach? And Srila Sridhar Maharaj says, Krishna has you there. Stay there and preach. I think it will be good for you to die on the battlefield. Something like that. Guru Maharaj knows that better. If I sometimes go out of this country, I'll go to Europe only and again come back. So practically, I've decided not to go to India anymore. Of course, he's changed his mind about a year and a half later in a big way, as we see in Lilamrita and Dinatarni's book about Jamuna. In case I suddenly meet my death, I shall make my will how to deal with my body later on. So don't be carried away by whims. It is my duty to save you. Leave Vrindavan, live peacefully with Sridhar Maharaj if you do not wish to go to Germany, and thereby you will be spiritually enlightened. The next thing I have is a conversation between Srila Prabhupada and Srila Sridhar Maharaj in March of 73 in Mayapur. This was at Mayapur Chandrodaya Mandir. And I first heard this tape in 74, sometime maybe in the spring of 74. when I was the head pujari in Honolulu. And Sudama Maharaj, who was the temple president, would loan me. He had an extensive collection of tapes, and because he was a sannyasi and big, he was a big, and so he would loan me tapes to listen to while I was doing my service. And one day he loaned me the tape of this conversation. Now it's one thing to read a transcript of the conversation, but if you can get access to the audio of this, and maybe it's on ISKCON Desire Tree, or maybe it's part of the the 2012 database or 2014 database offering, because they've got audio. Maybe the audio doesn't go back that far yet. I advised if there's any way you can listen to this conversation, because I was listening to this in 1974, and my only exposure to Sridhar Maharaj at the time was having read Achyutananda's article in 1970 and Back to Godhead in 1970 about the power of divine sound, which was essentially a transcript of a conversation that he had with Srila Sridhar Maharaj on the roof of his monk in Navadvip. And I remember a couple of us, my friend Tarun Kanti and I, just kind of blown away when we read that article. We just thought, wow, Srila Prabhupada actually comes from somewhere. He's not making this up. There's more like him out there. I mean, this is a thing, So, Srila Sridhar Maharaj, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So, our Swami Maharaj has done a miracle. So, attention all the people who like to say that Srila Sridhar Maharaj was somehow envious of Srila Prabhupada. Our Swami Maharaj has done a miracle. He has done a miracle. But Bhakti Vinod conceived, and Srila Saraswati Prabhupada tried, according to his conception, to translate into action. We find that through Swami Maharaj in his last days, these revelations have been fulfilled. We are happy. We are glad. We are proud of Swami Maharaj and of all of you too. When any person comes to take Diksha and stay at the mat, we say that after wandering for a long time in a foreign land, he is coming back to his home. Home means homeward, back to God, back to home, back to Godhead. Back to Godhead means back to home, sweet, sweet home. Our home and life is there and nowhere else. So we may be quite free there of any misgivings or misconduct. With such bold and clear faith, we can go on, onward and onward. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripasinho vyeva Srila Prabhupada says, Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivachakacharya. So we are thinking, we are very much fortunate to hear His Divine Grace, Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivachakacharya Bhakti Raksak Sridhar Maharaj. He is by age and experience in both ways. He is senior to me. I am also always fortunate to have his association for a very long time, perhaps since 1930 or something like that. At that time, he did not accept sannyas. He just left home, Vanaprastha. In his white dress, he went to Allahabad. Maharaj, I think you remember this incident when you went to Allahabad, Sridhar Maharaj. Yes, I do. I'm standing there in the kitchen of the temple, Ala Loop in Moanalua Valley. Just my mind is being blown, because you can hear, you can feel the affection between these two old brothers. It's just like, Maharaj, I think you might remember. And yes, I do. Yes. Thank you. Yes, at that time, Sridhar Maharaj, we took prasadam on the roof. Prabhupada. Oh, yes. Thank you. The devotees laugh. Yes. In that auspicious occasion, we are connected. Before that, in 1920 or 22, when I was manager in Dr. Bosa's laboratory, a young man, I was a nationalist, Congress Party. I was a devotee of Mahatma Gandhi and C.R. Das at that time. That was the beginning of our... It kind of goes back to their Congress days. And then he's talking about his cousin, friend, Narendranath Mulik. And he says, perhaps you know, Maharaj, that Naren Mulik, Sridhar Maharaj. Yes, yes. Yes, he was my intimate friend. So in their house, old Tirtha Maharaj went to beg some alms. They're a very rich man. So he informed me that one nice sannyasi has come to our house. And he was invited. In Ultadanga, there is Gaudiya Math. So he has invited me. I wish to go there. Why don't you come? Let us go. He was my very intimate friend. So at that time, I was a little pessimistic. I know all these sadhus. I'm not going. Because he had a kind of a jaded attitude towards sadhus, because his father would bring, he would say sometimes at least, quite generally, at least 3 sadhus to his home to feed them. And sometimes he would see them and they'd go home and they'd change back, they go back home to their family at the end of the day. They go out begging, dressed in saffron as sadhus during the day, and they go back to their family and take their loot and live their life. So Prabhupada said he was, and they would smoke hookah and stuff, because that was what they wanted. His father, being a very soft-hearted, sweet devotee, he wanted to serve the Vaishnavas, whatever it was they wanted. So he would provide them hookah, he would feed them. And Prabhupada was thinking, sadhu shmadhu, So he says, I'm not going to go. But he forced me. Oh, why not come? Let us go. All right, let us go. So I went to see His Divine Grace, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, in that Ultadanga building. And at that time, Prabhupada was sitting on the roof. There was a small house, and we were welcome, because they thought Naren Mulik was a very rich man and he has contributed some money. So we went to see Prabhupada and offered our obeisances. So he immediately said that, you're all educated young men. Why don't you preach Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's message throughout the world? So we know about this exchange. Srila Prabhupada objected, we're a dependent country. Who wants to hear Mahaprabhu's message? We're like a colony, And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati just blew him out of the water. He said, this is the most urgent thing. This is the real thing. And it doesn't depend. We know Bhakti's completely independent, right? It doesn't depend on dependence or independence, whatever. So then Prabhupada said afterwards, I was always thinking, I've met a very nice sadhu. I've met a real sadhu. So actually the words Lavamatra Sadhu Sange Sarva Siddhi Hoy, he says, I perceived a kind for a moment, and he impressed me so much that it was continued. And then in 1928, he's living in Allahabad. Then there was a Kumbh Mela. He says, Maharaj, when you joined the Gaudiya Math, Sridhar Maharaj, 27, Prabhupada said 27. That means, so in 1928, there was Kumbh Mela. And during that Kumbh Mela, Tirtha Maharaj came with a party to my shop, Prayag Pharmacy, all of a sudden. And I thought, these are the people I saw in the Gaudiya Math. Yes. So I was so glad. So Tirtha Maharaj asked me that, we are come new here. We're going to establish a temple in Allahabad. We've heard your name, so we have come to you. Please help us. So they came to Allahabad to do something to get ready for Kumbh. So they would have a project going on there in Kumbh Mela. Then they would have like a tent at the Kumbh Mela and bring, I guess, Srila Saraswati Thakur there and preach in Kumbh Mela, just as Prabhupada did with the devotees in 70, 72, whatever it was, with Jamuna. Read those stories. If you think your life is tough. So they were asking around, do you know anybody who could help us? We want to establish this Gaudiya Math, this preaching of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda. And everybody said, we know this Abhay Babu. He is a pharmacist, and he likes you people. I think he can help you. So they showed up at his door, and Prabhupada told his father, he says, Father, there's some sadhus here. And his father was a little cranky, and he said, sadhus. I don't want to see him, He was thinking they were Ramakrishna people, but he came down and he saw them, and he thought, I thought he meant like Ramakrishna people. You know, he was so happy. Oh, this is coming up. So he said, yes, I will help you. So in this way I contributed. My attending physician contributed because he had a pharmacy. So he was, a lot of, you see in other countries, you see there's a pharmacy right next to a physician's office. Like in Costa Rica, it's like that. Got the farmacia, and then you've got the doctor's office right next door, or upstairs. You know, they're connected. So in this way, we became friends. And Tirtha Maharaj, old Tirtha Maharaj had his first meeting at my house in Allahabad, I think with Sarveshwar Brahmachari, Dear Krishna Brahmachari, and a couple of Maharajas, and Sridhar Maharaj was there too. So my father was Vaishnava, but when I invited these Gaudiya Math sadhus, my father thought I've invited some sadhus of the Ramakrishna mission. So he was not very interested, he stayed upstairs. So I called him, please come down. There is a meeting of the Gaudiya Math sadhus. So he couldn't resist my request. He came down, but he didn't think some devotees would have come. They thought, oh, these Ramakrishna mission rascals have come. So he was not very happy, but I told he was sitting. And then, so in the meeting, he just criticized. And then he heard the speech of old Tirtha Maharaj, our old godbrother, and he understood, oh, they're Vaishnavas. Because they're dressed like Ramakrishna mission sannyasis. Then immediately after the meeting, he came down on his feet. He said, I misunderstood you, sir. I thought you were a Ramakrishna mission sadhu. I'm so glad to meet you. And that way, Sridhar Maharaj, at that time, Ramindra Sundara Bhattacharya, he was also invited at my house. So their association goes back to 1928, before the Kumbh Mela in Allahabad. So in this way, my connection became developed with the Gaudiya Math, and then gradually the process began, and then Harishe Tatanam Shanahi. Hari takes everything away. If Krishna really loves you, then he takes everything away. And he chuckled, said, I wanted to become a very big businessman. There was good opportunity. But gradually everything becomes ruined. And at last, my Allahabad business was gone. It was lost on account of some debts. I had to hand it over to Dr. Kartik Chandra Bose. And then, so then, Prabhupada said, then the intimate relationship with Gaudiya Math grew. In this way, I think 1933, Sir Malcolm Haley came to lay down the foundation stone of the Allahabad Math. Maharaj, I think you remember, yes? Sridhar Maharaj, yes, we were coming from Vrindavan Parikram. Yes, Parikram. And the Parikram, oh gosh, that is another incident. So then, anyway, I'll skip ahead to the heavily highlighted part. So he got initiated, and he said it will take time, but I had the opportunity. Then he got initiated. But these are a long history. It will take time. But I had the opportunity of associating with His Holiness for several years. I had the opportunity. Krishna and Prabhupada liked to prepare me. Sridhar Maharaj lived in my house for a few years. So naturally, we had very intimate talks, and he was my good advisor. I took his advice, his instruction very seriously, because from the very beginning, I know he is a pure Vaishnava and devotee, and I wanted to associate with him and try to help him in so many ways. He also tried to help me, so our relationship was very intimate. Prabhupada, Srila Govinda Maharaj said that when they were staying, when Prabhupada had them staying in the math upstairs from his pharmacy, Prabhupada would come up in the morning, and he and Sridhar Maharaj would start talking. And they would just keep talking philosophy and Leela and Rasa Tattva, so many things. And Prabhupada wouldn't go down and open up his business. They wouldn't even eat. And so finally, he said, I was starting to get really hungry. Finally I got really angry, and I would say, please, Guru Maharaj, could you please stop talking? And Prabhupada would look at him and chuckle and say, oh, I think the boys are a little hungry. So he'd give them some prasad, and they would keep talking. Prabhupada sometimes wouldn't even open up shop at all. Pardon?
I wonder why his business didn't go well.
Yeah. After the breakdown of the Gaudiya Math, I wanted to organize another organization, making Sridhar Maharaj head. And I wanted to mix, at that time, Goswami Maharaj, one of my friends' houses, and he talks about some other stuff, distributing back. They would go to Bombay to preach. Sridhar Maharaj, Bhakti Saranga Goswami Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada. I think Goswami Maharaj wasn't a sannyasi yet. He was still a Tula Chandra Goswami from a Brahmin family, so his surname was Goswami. So Prabhupada would take them to meet people in Mumbai, and he would introduce them. Srila Sridhar Maharaj would speak, and Goswami Maharaj would close the deal, get the collection. And they were collecting big. And Goswami Maharaj suggested to Srila Saraswati Thakur, oh, maybe Abhay Babu, maybe he should be in charge of the Mumbai Math. And Srila Saraswati Thakur said, no, in the future, he'll do what needs to be done. And then there's another talk. I hate to go on so long, but it gets better. It just gets better. Because if the theme is Srila Prabhupada appreciating Srila Sridhar Maharaj, this is pretty thick right here. So this is in Navadvip at Sridhar Maharaj's Math in 1977. They're speaking in Bengali, and this is translated by Bhakti Chara Maharaj, as I understand. The central principle of ISKCON philosophy is surrender. Otherwise, one will not be able to get to know the substance. Maybe a lot of it maybe back and forth in Bengali and English. Whatever you're seeing externally by means of your intelligence is not going to help you become acquainted with the real substance. So then they're talking. Then they talk about Dr. Radhakrishnan, the former Prime Minister of India, and how he was a real Brahmin gentleman, but he was a real Mayavadi. And he said, Dr. Radhakrishnan said, oh, when I retire, then I will surrender to you people. And I heard that he actually didn't. I've heard that he later took initiation from Bhakti Saranga Goswami Maharaj, but I'm not sure about that. So one of the devotees said to Srila Prabhupada has given you a lot of mercy. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada. That is all due to your blessings. I do not know for how long I will be able to carry on. So I came to see Sridhar Maharaj. It's 1977. Devotee, if you go away, then the world will become dark. Srila Sridhar Maharaj to Prabhupada. It is so wonderful that the will of the Lord comes to manifest through someone. He's appreciating Srila Prabhupada as Krishna, Lord Chaitanya, Lord Nityananda's agent. Srila Prabhupada, I very much want, Maharaj, that you come and stay at Mayapur. Because Prabhupada, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, always desired that you preach. He told me quite a few times, why don't you pull him out? They both laugh. Because Prabhupada was very extroverted, very outgoing, very social. Srila Sridhar Maharaj is very introverted. I also tried to some extent, but somehow or other it did not work out. Now, why don't you come and stay at Mayapur? Srila Sridhar Maharaj, at last Prabhupada told me, you are an ease lover. They laughed. This is the qualifications, that qualification you have. Prabhupada, yes, that's true. He told me also, he is such a qualified person. Sridhar Maharaj is one of the finest preachers. And then Prabhupada said to him, I want to take you everywhere. At least the place we have in Mayapur. People are coming from all over the world. Why don't you come and stay there? What is your objection to staying in Mayapur? If you just agree, then whatever kind of building you want, I will arrange it for you. They're trying to build a house for me, so both of us will stay there. And whenever you want, you can come here to your mat. Srila Sridhar Maharaj said, yes, as long as I am alive to fill Prabhupada's desire. Then Prabhupada said, this is my earnest desire. Since you could not go around the world and preach, at least stay there, and people will come to you. I shall make that arrangement. If you stay, then it will be very helpful to me also. Sometimes I need to consult with someone, but there is no one. There is no one that I can consult. I feel this deficiency very greatly. Devotee. If he stays in Mayapur, then all kinds of people will get to hear from him. Srila Prabhupada said, yes, that's right. Srila Sridhar Maharaj said, yes, people from all kinds of cultural backgrounds will come there. Prabhupada, yes, they're already coming. And in that house, I will make arrangements for an elevator so that you don't have to go through the difficulty of walking up and down the stairs. You won't even have to move a step yourself. I'll make arrangements for a car and a lift. Jayapataka Maharaj is telling me that he will build a house for me. So both of us will stay in that house. Most of the time, I'm just traveling around. So if you are there, then they can get some guidance. So Maharaj, please give me the order, and I will make the arrangements for you. Srila Sridhar Maharaj said, well, I'll think it over and let you know. Srila Prabhupada. So let me make the arrangement, Maharaj. That planetarium, that will also be built under your direction. My idea is to combine the Indian culture and the American money, the lame man and the blind man policy. I tell them that this will be very beneficial for the world, Indian culture and Varnashram. Prabhupada's desire was to establish the Varnashram Dharma. So we have to do that. We have to establish our Varnashram college. Let the people come from all over the world and learn about Varnashram. Srila Sridhar Maharaj says, the effort that you're making to acquire the land in Mayapur, that has been successful. And Prabhupada says, no, that has not happened yet, but we are buying the land. How far can you hassle with the government? Etc., etc., etc. This is my earnest desire, Srila Prabhupada said. So, folks can say what they like.
Yeah.
But Srila Prabhupada has spoken. Prabhupada said it, I believe it, that settles it. That's my purpose. Srila Bhakti Raksak Sridhar Dev Goswami ki jai,
Jai.
Prabhupada ki jai, Gom Bhakta Vrinda ki jai.
Ashram Swami ki jai.